All right, so we are live, and we're just doing our quick little 20-second lead-in, guys. There's a couple of housekeeping items if we can get you to look after before we start the show. So one of them, if you're not subscribed to Olde Carr Guy, I encourage you to go down, hit that little red button down below. And in the description box is Straight Six Fan and Narxoleptic Customs link. Make sure you head on over there at some point and click on their subscribe button as well, because you're not going to want to miss out on upcoming episodes. Tonight, it is the Car Guy Six Fan Show. My name is Jason. I am the car guy of this operation, and my partner in crime tonight is
Grant Tommy or Straight Six Fan on YouTube. That makes me Six Fan of this beautiful operation. That is the Car Guy and Six Fan Show. And I think I speak on Jason's behalf when I say I'm excited to have our guest tonight because the energy level he typically brings. And I also personally want to thank you, Mike, for filling in as co host duty when I was in Iceland. But Mike, with Narxoleptic Customs, Mike, take it away. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your channel.
Well, here's what I want to call out Patina Pit Stop there because me saying that's awesome is literally, I think, going to turn into a drinking game. For the folks that don't know, my name's Mike Narks. My brother is Steven Narks. We own Narxoleptic Customs in Northwest Arkansas, and we build fun stuff. So we build stuff that we would enjoy driving. YouTube channel, 600 videos, tons of playlists we've worked on. I mean, I've got a death cart we've taken on Rocky Mountain Race Week. I've got a Turbo LS C10 truck that we're taking racing Saturday. All kinds of stuff. I mean, it's everything. A MG midget with a 350 horsepower turbo four-cylinder that weighs 2,000 pounds. That has almost killed my brother twice. So it's pretty awesome.
we're going to get into a little bit of that with some of our questions for you tonight, Mike. But one thing we want to do before we get into the hard questions for you is address some of the people
They're
in
always
the
hard.
chat. So, Grant, why don't you tell us who's in the chat joining us tonight?
Yeah, we have a good group sitting here waiting to get going. And as mentioned, Casey from Patina Pit Stop. We have American Bumper to Bumper, Coastal Auto Reaction stuff with Cletus. Everything's Broken Garage. Of course, Melissa Nunya keeping us keeping that chat healthy with links. Will's Wheels. I think I already said it, American Bumper to Bumper, but we'll say it again if I did. Hobbins Hot Rods and Wood and Metal Garage. Jeff Patriot, Bandit and I think that's it. I think we're capturing
I
it.
think I see my brother-in-law in there, Tom.
Nice.
Tom C is eating popcorn. So, welcome, guys, to the show. We're going to jump right in with the with the biggest question of all, and to me is has got to be kind of what attracted me to your channel, and that's the Narcs cart. Tell us, if those who don't know, a little bit about A, what it is, and B, what inspired it.
Okay, so the Narcs cart. If here's the easiest way to explain it. If you've never owned it, well, I'll back up. Everyone should own a car they don't care about at some point in their life. That's exactly what the Narcs cart is. It's a. I've wanted to build a death cart for a long time. So we, obviously, if you're going to cut the roof and doors off of something, you need to have a full frame. Typically, I wanted to learn to bend tubing, so we bought a 2003 Grand Marquis two valve, grandpa driven, owned, had never been smoked in. It was an awesome car, and we literally drove it home and cut the roof off of it. Welded the rear diff, put 430s in it, 31-inch tires, and just kept cutting the fenders until they fit. I wonder, hey, can I share a picture of it real quick?
Yeah,
Let's see if I can do this here and not screw it up. I'm probably going to screw it up just so everybody knows. Well, I'll do it in a second. I'll get it pulled up here on another screen. But it now has a GT45 eBay turbo, $150 turbo. It and probably, well, I'll tell you this much: the 100 shot of nitrous hurt it on Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0, which we were on just a couple weeks ago. So.
Well, the screen share didn't work, but it looks like Jason's kind of working in the background. And
Cool.
so
Okay.
Rocky Mountain Race Week, yeah, the Narcs cart definitely is. Yeah, there was that craze. Of course, we all know the internet knows Leroy, and then
Yep.
there's been other vet carts
Yep.
of sorts. And so the first person to take the 4-door route and the Panther platform and say, you know what, I'm gonna do what they're doing, but with this car, Well, folks, that was Mike Narks, and
Well, and I'll tell you this. This is the reason we chose that car. So the C10 truck, it's a 3-seater, 3 seat belts. My wife won't let my 2 daughters and her ride at the same time, right? So there'd be 4 of us in the truck. She's not going to do that. So I needed something that would haul all of us and be fun. And we're giving it away on our channel. When our channel hits 1 million video views total, we'll give it away, which will probably be in 5 years. But we're going to have fun with it until then.
So I know that the Narx car is, like you said, it's just something that you don't care about.
Mm-hmm.
Being a car guy and have been, right down to having a collection of probably thousands of dinky cars as a kid, and maybe I still have a few of them, but the idea of having that opinion of a car and just like what brought you to that? I have a hard time, cutting fenders off and doing all that sort of thing. Like why? Like what possessed you to get into that and do everything that you were doing to it?
Well, so here's the deal. My C10 truck is very special to me. We do burnouts and get ice cream and do dumb stuff in it all the time. But the old truck, I'd never cut on it. Like I don't want to do a 4-link in the back. It's not a race truck, but it's really important to me. So I needed something that allowed me to maybe flex a little bit on my abilities. I wanted to learn to bend tubing and do some roll cage stuff. My brother is really good at that stuff. I am not so good. So I wanted to do that. And then, basically, Panther stuff is super reliable. If you're going to give a car away, you've got to have a car that the person that wins can then enjoy. You don't want to give it to them and it break immediately, like it's broken now. And it's evolved. We had a lot of great people. They bought Narxoleptic shirts to help us fund the initial build, but it was a 90,000 mile car, 93,000 mile 03, and we gave $900 for it. I mean, that's why the Panther stuff is so good. You've built a ton of Panther stuff and have, the lift. I'm going to lift this one at some point. So yeah, I don't think that answered your question, but but it's fun. And I want to tell the turbo story for the folks that aren't on our channel and have watched for a while. I put the turbo kit on after we did race week last year. Well, we're typically LS guys, so we have a ton of LS parts, and turboing an LS is super easy. Like you literally take factory manifolds, flip them backwards, run pipes to the turbo. You cannot flip the manifolds on a 2-valve 4.6. So the exhaust comes down through the factory catalytic converters into the factory Y pipe, and then 180s all the way back up to the front of the car where the turbo is. So it's about 18 feet of exhaust pipe to get there. So, people talk about turbo lag. That's like something that just, it doesn't really reach any boost till about halfway through second gear. So that's why we needed the nitrous. We needed more acceleration on the line. And if you guys follow, like you've seen some of our stuff with Blaine and Tom Stark, who have a stick shift Nomad, super nice car. And so Blaine was like, you got to go. He's a 12-year-old crew chief. You got to go right to the 100 shot, spray it out of the hole, and then let the turbo do its thing. Well, when I did that, I 60-footed really good and felt like I was on our 13-second pass, which is what we wanted. And I was like, okay, once it hits third, I'm going to get back on the button. And I did. And that's when I think, fried some clutches and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that kind of like blends into my next question, whereas Dan of Greasy Boy Customs, who's in the chat, he talks about his shoebox Ford as like his rolling experiment, his rolling laboratory. Like I'm just going to try things out. This is how I'm going to improve my skills. And so that's exactly what you're saying the Narx card is. So, you don't know if you're going to fry. You don't know you're going to fry clutches by using the 100 shots 7 times down a quarter mile. Nobody knows that. So you gotta.
I wasn't peppering the button. I was on it because everybody was like, "Oh, just pepper the button out of the hole if it spins." I'm like, "Oh no, we've got radios on it. It's going to hook." And so I just right on the money. So, yeah.
Well, you talked a little bit about your kind of affection for LS builds, and I think I think it's pretty well known here on the Car Guy and Six Fan Show. I'm about as anti-LS swap the world as it comes. But I think that's what makes the conversation interesting, is to hear it from the opposite side and kind of walk us through what it is that you love so much about LS swapping the world, and your experience through doing that, and what's kind of your advice to someone out there thinking they're going to jump into it for the first time.
Yeah, so if you're swapping an early C10, 60 through 72, buy the CPP mounts. Do it now. You can run a truck pan. It makes it so much easier. But the LS stuff really was just because we had so many friends that have done the LS swaps. So, you can buy a 200,000 mile LS and pull the heads, and they still have cross hatching in them. I mean, like, the motor is good, and you can give $300 for a 4.8 all day. It's complete oil panned intake. And that's kind of part of it. The other part was the truck was a small block Chevrolet to begin with, which is actually, let's see, right? Well, it's here next to me. The 283 that was in it that my grandfather put in. So we had to stay V8. If it had been a 6, like the 230 or whatever, we probably would have put a 4200 in it, to be honest. Just because I don't know. It had a V8. We went with an LS. I wanted to make 500 wheel, and doing that on a 4200 is pretty tough. So just really because our friends had such good luck with the LS platform, and all the stuff we were reading was LS platform, and I'd never put a Coyote motor or a 4-valve in that truck. I maybe would have done a Gen 3 Hemi just to make some people mad, but at that time, stuff was still expensive. So,
well, and that's the thing. Like, when it comes to hot rodding or custom car building, people can do whatever you want, and it's how extreme you go depends on A, your budget, but B, how willing you are to piss off the purist. And I mean, and it goes way back. My dad built a '56 Mercury pickup truck, put a small block Chevy in it. And everybody was so mad at him when he popped the hood on that thing, right? It is what you do what you know, because if you know it, you're familiar, you're comfortable with it. I want to get off the LS thing. I don't want to get stuck on that all night.
Yeah, hey, I'm in.
Rocky Mountain Race Week.
Yeah, hey, I do want to stay on engines though, real quick,
okay.
Because we do have the 2.3 Lima in the MG, so it's like a 80s SVO Mustang setup. And we are going to do a 4200 in something. We'll probably buy an old truck to do a 4200 one. Just hey, listen, straight 6 stuff. I love it. That's we're going to do some of that too. So
you're talking to the right two guys for that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that stuff. So race week, sorry.
Well, and again, before we jump into that, I'll let the cat out of a bag on a little project here too. There is quite possibly a straight 6 coming to Car Guy. To the Olde Carr Guy YouTube channel.
Nice.
Let's get back into Rocky Mountain Race Week. You were there last year.
Yep.
And you made the trip again this year.
Yeah, you cannot not do Race Week. So there's something in Canada now, like Miles of Mayhem or something like that.
Yeah, it's a similar type of ordeal, but it's way the heck out west. Nothing East Coast yet, but tell us. I guess what I want to know is the experience. Okay, I want to know your first time experience when you went last year, and what you learned from that coming into 2.0.
Yeah, definitely. So last year we were complete noobs, but we were within a group of folks that are called 301 Streetcars, who's in Sedalia, Missouri, kind of the Central States folks. They're amazing people, and so we had met them at the charity event that we host, and they were like, "You've got to go on this," and everybody's all heard of Hot Rod Drag Week, and I could never get into that, and so I had talked about doing 1.0, which is in the Colorado Rockies, Rocky Mountain Race Week, and then Hot Rod Drag Week canceled last year because of the pandemic, and so the Race Week team put together literally in 4 days this event for what they call Race Week 2.0 or just Race Week. So last year, I learned that sleep, you need to do some of that leading up to that because you're not going to get any of it during the week. But I have come to realize that I'm more of a video guy. I enjoy talking to the people and talking to watching other racers and all that kind of stuff and getting their story, compared to maybe racing and getting in the lanes every time and things like that. So, it took this year to figure that out, because I had so many plans, but we just ran out of time because I was so hard on the car. Like driving from Enos, Texas to Tulsa, we lost overdrive. So, then we were 1, 2, 3, and then I'll tell the story of the bad stuff that happened after that, because it's really funny. But this year compared to last year, I got less sleep this year, but I was better prepared for it. I think by Thursday morning, we had 18 hours of sleep from Saturday morning at 8 a.m. It was pretty wild. One thing I'll say to all the newbies that maybe hear this that are going to do a drag and drive event, just go ahead and buy a trailer. You have to earn your stripes and yard sell that stuff a little bit, pack it up, unpack it, change tires, all that kind of stuff. The trailer this year was our biggest helper, because we could literally pull up to the track, unhook the trailer, and I could go make passes if I wanted to. We weren't driving on the radials, but we could have at any time. It'd have been easy. Wouldn't have been hard on the tires or car or anything. So, yeah, sleep is for the weak, especially that week. There were some guys that were up for 30-something hours, because they would rebuild the transmission in the parking lot. Like get your mind on that stuff. Like, enjoy that process. Enjoy the breakdown. Enjoy the experience that you're going to get, because that's the only time you're going to get it. And the cool thing from going from last year to this year was really just the amount of people I knew. It's like a huge family. So, you're on the Facebook groups that are following along and getting ready for the year. So you're just talking to people all the time. So then you get to meet them in person. It's like a family reunion, I guess. So.
You say enjoy the breakdowns during race week, but I don't enjoy them even outside of race week. So yeah. I don't think I necessarily have the cojones to do that. But my favorite part about last year's 2.0, your first one, Mike, is that I caught the Narx cart footage on my, I went to the Topeka race and I caught you doing a burnout, and I think my comment was something along the lines of like, well, that was completely unnecessary, but also necessary, because I was like, this car just did this wicked burnout, and it's like, I did look like he had slicks on, and I was just like,
who is this idiot?
But I was like, yeah, but that was still pretty awesome, like it was like,
that's all that car was good for then. Now, what's funny is we added the turbo, and the burnouts are worse. It takes so much time for that turbo to get in that, like we tuned it on the street making a pull. So like, if you're not making a pull, you just pull it to the box, you hit the, it's like, oh my God, come on. So we're going to put a converter in when we pull the transmission out. So.
But you're exactly right. I mean, I remember my experience I had gone to 1.0 and 2.0, just one stop of both of them 2020. And it's a giant family reunion. I mean, I just interacting with other YouTubers at both stops. Really, I did it in 1.0 too, but more so, I mean, I was hanging out with Ken and Nathan of Spider Garage and the Reeves from Blaine Stark's garage. So it really is. It's a giant car guy reunion. You realize like the networking, there's a lot of YouTubers. A lot of us doing the same thing, the same hustles, trying for the same goal, and a lot of us think like, there's no way I'll ever be able to hook up with so and so, and it's like. No, really, like the interaction in the communities you build, like when you go to events like this, you have the opportunity to make those connections in person. And it's like, it really is a small, tight knit group. So talk about your relationships that you've built through just, not just YouTube, but, Rocky Mountain Race Week. And what's maybe one that you look back and you're like, man, you kind of have to pinch yourself. Like, I actually, what's maybe one of your most memorable relationships that you've.
So what was super cool is like Blaine Stark, who I talked about earlier. He's pretty famous. I mean, like he's like a 12-year-old. He's the crew chief of his dad's car, right? And he lines him up in the lanes. They've had a ton of coverage because of their relationship and his dad's relationship, and so it's really neat. And so every time I'd get like around him, hey man, last year. Well, this year. They were right up front. And so I drive past them to get like into the tech line, and he like come up and talked to me and was putting like we pulled off some stickers for him to put his sticker on like on the door, the fuel door for the cart. And like, for him to be as excited as I was for him to be there was really pretty cool, and then every time we would be in the lanes and we're close to them, he would come up and talk to me. I mean, that was really neat. And then, I feel like meeting. Ooh, can I tell this story? This is probably like a 4 or 5 minute story. Sorry. So last year I had been wearing on David Newbern to sign my Dukes of Hazzard trash can that's like legit from the 70s. You know what I mean? And I had been on him hard about, I need you and Mike Cotton and Finnegan to sign my Dukes of Hazzard trash can. I know you guys are big fans. And so I had got Finnegan to sign it at Topeka, and I got Cotton to sign it at Topeka. Well, they were going home the next day. They weren't going to keep going with the trip. So I was like, man, I'll have to find Newbern again. I'll have to figure out how to get him to sign this trash can. And so we're going through it, and we're eating at Waffle House at like 12:30. We go to leave. All of them come around the corner, like a bunch of photographers, Newbern, Mike Finnegan, Mike Cotton, all come around the corner. And Newbern goes, isn't there something I'm supposed to sign for you? You've been wearing me out about this thing for weeks. I was like, oh, yeah. So I throw all the stuff that's on, in it and on top of it. And I grab it because we didn't have a trailer then. So it's in the back of the car, crammed down with stuff. And so I get it all out. I'm like, we call it yard selling because you're throwing stuff on the ground. Well, next to the can was a water bottle. And I was like, you guys want to see a burnout? And they're like, yeah, let's go. So I dumped this whole gallon jug of water out in front of the tire, and I destroyed Waffle House parking lot with the cart. Like, after that, we had cords. I mean, it was pretty awesome.
So like, how do you top that story?
I don't know, because I tried to this year, but I didn't find anybody at Waffle House at 12:30.
Hey, are they open all the night? Is that the deal? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I'll have to remember that. So one of the things that you guys, both you and Grant, have going for you is your location. You're fairly central to a lot of these things. So you do the hot rod power tour is not that far from Grant. I guess it's maybe half a day's drive type of thing. Is it, Grant? I don't know. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but depends on where they're going.
Yeah, but St. Louis was as close as it got this year, and that's a 4-hour drive for me.
Yeah,
I would have loved to hit that one day. That's how we got involved in the power tour initially. Was I took the old truck to 12, which came to Miami, Oklahoma, and my dad and I got to ride in that and like do subsequent. But yeah. So we're centrally located, and it allows you can be really to any big event in 12 to 14 hours if it was big enough for you to make sense.
And that's the thing for my location is anywhere I go is I've got to go west. And I've got to travel, if I want to do hot rod power tour this year, for me, that's almost a 2-day drive just to get there. And then to do the 4-day or 5-day trek, and then 2 days to get home again.
Yep.
So I know that you try and hit a lot of this stuff because of where you are and because of your passion for doing what you do. It's Rocky Mountain Race Week, streetcar shootout, Stanley, all this different stuff. Like, how do you manage your time career-wise to be able to get away and do all this stuff?
So I've been at my day job, which is awesome. I love everybody I work with. I've been there 5 years, and for the first 2.5 or 3 years, I didn't take a single vacation, right? Because I came from selling cars. Like, I sold cars forever, where you don't take vacations. You don't take time off. You take a Tuesday, Wednesday combined, and you feel like you've done something, And so I have all this vacation time, and through the YouTube channel, through hosting this drag race and stuff like that, it's allowed me to lean into the cars more than what I was. And my wife is absolutely amazing. So we just signed up for another drag and drive event. It's in Florida. It starts in Tampa or Bradenton. So I bought my plane tickets the other day and signed up, registered today. So I'll be doing another. I won't be driving in that. I'll be co-piloting, which I'm even more excited about. So yeah, my wife is awesome, and my job is, my boss is very forgiving on on me doing this kind of stuff because we plan it out so far ahead. It's not like hey man, I need Tuesday off. I need Monday through Friday off in 2 weeks. It's, hey, this is coming up in 4 months. I need to take off and do this.
So I want to say the first Hot Rod Power Tour was like in 1995 or 6 or something like that. And I only know that because my older brother started subscribing to Hot Rod Magazine in like 97. In those early years, Power Tour was like, it came through Kansas, and I always thought that was cool. And they stopped in Goodland, which, like, our state's not the biggest, but it's not the smallest. Like, so to drive from one end to the other, it's actually a 6-hour drive.
Yeah.
And they started in Los Angeles, and I know the Topeka stop wasn't the last stop. Like, I think they drove basically LA to Chicago in the early years.
That's cool.
And that like blows my mind. Obviously when $4 a gallon gas came around like in 2008, they're like, yeah, we got to rethink this thing, you know? But I cannot imagine the long haul in those early years doing LA.
It'd have been wild. Yeah. And I mean, think about like, so, in hosting a drag and drive event that we do in April in honor of our dad, we, you start figuring out checkpoints. You start figuring out, okay, when could you, like, where would you want to stop? How do you set up a host hotel? Can you imagine doing that over 2,200 miles? You're trying to plan out like 7,000 cars coming across the country.
Especially in 1997 with your dial-up internet. That only 1 out of 10 people had.
Yeah, I mean, think of the amount of phone calls that is. Like, because a hotel's not going to get an email. They're not, back then they would have, but they'd have checked it every 3 or 4 days if they checked it at all. So get out and drive. So there's like 9 cars that went on the first Power Tour. That's funny.
Yeah, and like the thing is now is like Hot Rod as a brand or as a company or as an event coordinator has a team to deal with all that stuff with the host hotels, the routes, the prep, the gates, the moving everybody and all that stuff. Like one of the things that we would like to have here on the East Coast is some sort of a, I guess, quote unquote power tour, if we're allowed to use that word, because like I said before, New York, Boston is 5 hours from us. New York is about 8 or 9. Montreal's 8 hours. So to get to the next biggest center from where we are is a bit of a hike. But we would like to have something here in Canada because about 2 hours from me in it's a city called Moncton, New Brunswick, we have the biggest car show on the East Coast, where they would host anywhere from 18 to 2,500 cars that would come from all over to do that. So to be able to put something like that together would be great. So I might lean on you a little bit for some experience on maybe starting something or putting something together.
Yeah, do it 100%.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about, I think we had mentioned it maybe in passing, but about the streetcar shootout.
Yeah, the one that's in 2 days.
Yeah, you're getting ready to head out for that.
Yep. So I will tell you guys after I co-hosted, because this dude was on vacation for a month. So jealous, dude. Those pictures, like the rigs that are over there, that was too cool. So I begged Jason, can I please come on the 14th? Our streetcar shootout started. This is literally our 9th year. We've raised more than $30,000 for a local children's shelter over that time. It's a 4 hours of fun runs at Mocan Dragway in Joplin, Missouri. If you guys know where that's at, come on out. We start racing at 11. We do all kinds of fun trophies. I'm actually building some trophies tonight and tomorrow after this for like First Broke and Harriest Pass and all that kind of biggest wheelie, all that kind of stuff. So we have the kids at the shelter hand paint trophies for 1 and 2 for each class. We have fun runs for trophies, and then we have elimination classes that start at 3, and it's 50-50 class entry goes to the winner, 50% goes to the shelter. So we're doing this to raise money, and we're having a blast with it. So, and we'll typically have 100, 125, 130 cars. I think our best year's been 141. So and there was nothing else going on that weekend, luckily. So.
Mike, was this different than, I know there was one you guys did, I want to say about 6 months ago. That was like you kind of pinged back and forth. It was just two spots, but you started middle one, came back. So it was kind of a mini drag week. It was
Yep.
same foundation and everything.
Yep. So we do we just call it the drag and drive event because it's easier. I mean, like our stuff's pretty easy. In the beginning of the streetcar shootout, it was literally license registration. You had to have all that stuff: blinkers, headlights, taillights. Now it's more of a fun day. We'll have some fast cars that don't necessarily ever see the street. But the drag and drive event. So my dad passed away. His birthday was the 4th of April. And so the first weekend of April, we do this drag and drive event because he enjoyed getting out and driving, obviously in his car and stuff like that. So we host that event then. And for last year and this year coming up, 2022, we'll start at Mocan and race on Friday night. So day one is racing in the evening, and then we'll set up like a 200-ish mile, probably a little more this year, route, and then end up back at Mocan just because it's so much easier. The year before we started Mocan Friday, drove to Ozark Raceway Park, which is about 180 miles, 150 miles, and then raced there and then drove back to Mocan. It just ends up to where it's not a long enough drive to where it's like where you're going to get a hotel close to the track. Like you're probably just going to load back up and drive back over to Mocan. Anyway, so that makes for a super, super long day. And we wanted to eliminate some of that so we can see the countryside, some of the Kansas, eastern Missouri, western Missouri countryside, and cruise through some cool spots. Route 66 runs through there, so a lot of neat spots that come along with that. So.
Right in the heart of meth country, I believe is what they.
Yeah, dude. Listen, there's nothing like running somebody's $70,000 or $80,000 race car down a road, and they're like, "There's nothing but meth trailers here, man." So yeah,
so
pretty interesting.
So, Mike, you and your family do a lot of fundraising per se on different things. Now, I noticed a while back, I think you turned 40, and you did a little fundraising thing with your girls and your wife. Yeah. I want you to talk about that because I stumbled upon that video and I thought, man, like what a great gesture and what a good fella to involve his family and good on your family for allowing to to be on camera and to shoot that. That was a really good video. I like that.
I appreciate that. That was actually my wife's idea. She said that it was a 40 acts of kindness for turning 40. So it was a super fun video to make because we were literally just having fun going. Like we put tips in tip jars that at restaurants or coffee shops that we didn't even eat or buy anything at. Took somebody's groceries, carried their groceries. I mean, I have my daughters are 11 and 8, and this is all they know. This is us doing stuff for folks, and really the reason we do stuff for the kids at the shelter is because it's going to sound crazy, but we want those kids to know somebody gives a shit about them. You know what I mean? Like I know it's not the best motto or saying for that, but that really is what we do. We want. So we do car shows and things out there of like 10 or 12 cars and tell the kids about them. And that group of kids is always changing. So we're always getting to show new kids different stuff. And we do that because, I don't know, it's just fun. It's fun. Kids that don't typically get a good light on cars, a lot of times if they're in a bad situation, they, if they're male figure in their life is working on a car and they're holding a flashlight, they may get beat if they were not holding it right. You know what I mean? Like, so we try and show them, that's not necessarily all the case. And what ends up happening is the folks that in turn go with us to do those events then become, patrons for that charity and all that kind of stuff too. So,
and I will say the only thing that would have made that video even better had you taken the Narx cart to
dude, I know. that's what we kept talking about.
Just saying.
Yeah, we should have been in the cart just because it would have garnered so much more attention, So it was a blast. But yeah, like so our daughters are real close birthdays. They're about 4 weeks or 3 weeks apart on birthday dates. Not they're 3 years apart, but birthday dates. So we've had several like pet shelter birthdays and things like that, to where they raise dog food and cat food for the animals in the shelter. So we're teaching them right, we're growing them up right. So.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but Jason and I had a very similar conversation to that post show last week. We'll just say it that way.
Yep.
But I know that comment you made, Mike. You said, "Yeah, maybe it's not the best phrase to do," but I think we all got it when you said it. I think we know exactly what you're after. So, yeah, it may not be the best phrase, but it actually also was, because we all got it.
Yep.
I did want to just say hi to some people who've jumped in.
Yep.
Since the original. So of course, Monster Rush, Turlo's Garage, Katarina's Garage, Streetcar Culture, just to name a few. Get Out and Drives come in. So we appreciate everybody being active in the chat, and of course, wanted to say thanks. I know Jason flashed it up on the screen, but we did have one super chat earlier, and if you've been watching this show for a good period of time, you know that sometimes maybe we give back at the end of the season, and that is still part of the plan here. And I know, Mike, you were actually the recipient or the winner of some sound dampening from season 5. So I don't know if I've seen where that's ended up or what the plans are for that. So just kind of curious where the kill mat's going.
Yeah, so it's still in the box. It is, part of it is. So it's going in the MG, and I have this black hole of MG content that I'm eventually going to edit all of those videos. We really wanted to get it driving before we put it in. So it was in, but it's behind the seat backs and things like that. It helps a ton. So we certainly appreciate that. And I'm going to throw it on the behind where the fuel tank used to be on the old truck. I'm going to throw it on that wall there too.
So, Mike, for those of you who are just kind of tuning in or watching after the fact, Mike has his own live stream where he does have a few guests on his show as well, talking about significant wins or significance of having a certain guest. Why don't you go ahead and plug your show and some of the guests maybe you've had and what you talk about over there?
Yeah, so our show is randomly on our channel. The struggle we have is between gymnastics and car shows and working on stuff, and if I feel like it that week, we may not even have a show. So typically it's been on Tuesday nights. We'll probably move to more of a Friday night schedule just because it's a little easier to go long for some of our guests. We've had Bank Shift Billy was on the other night, Bill Armstrong, who drives almost daily a 1,500 horsepower twin turbo, big cubic inch, small block Ford that's been 870, that has developed his own slipper clutch system, which is super cool. The business side of stuff really drives my brain. We had the social media and YouTube guy for Mid-America Customs, or Mac TV, with Mountain Dew and Gap Train, that was on Horsepower Wars. We had that guy on 2 nights ago, and then Jonathan Stonecipher, Red Hat Scotty, a lot of names from the Race Week and Drag and Drive event stuff, just because that style event to me that's my passion now. So I enjoy drag racing, but I really enjoy driving that stuff 200 or 300 miles a day and cruising around.
Well, I certainly enjoy your show. I want to say, I hope I don't get this wrong, but I think it was you interviewed, I think very early on, a guy who his whole shtick is building Hot Wheels style or packaging for Hot Wheels or something. It's like a custom box of, maybe you were a guest.
Oh, yes. No, that was, hold on. It's like broken, it's not Broken Garage. I'm just looking at everything in Broken Garage, but it's Banged Knuckles Garage. Yes. And
there you go.
Yep. They 3D print custom Hot Wheels, and he started with the Hell's Speed Shop C10 truck.
And it was stupid entertaining. It's it's kind of a little bit like off of what we do, but it's still car content. But it was just it was amazing. And that guy's very talented too, and he had a whole cinematic trailer unveiling of the last one, just a phenomenal. But maybe you're pulling the wool over our eyes, but you seem very well prepared. You ask such great questions on your show, and that's what I think really is what draws me into it. Is I can tell you care as a host to make sure
Yep.
that you have quality questions. So,
Well, so typically, if it's a like that guy, my brain works in the way like I've got to figure that out. Like I've got like so I'll do tons of research before I talk to him because I'm like, that is the cool and like the business side of my brain's like, how do you sell that? How are you going to make a living doing that? Like so, how do you build it? How do you so I lean into that a ton. The Bill Armstrong thing was cool because I got to watch a ton of like 1320 videos because that dude is, I'm not gonna say he's private, but he doesn't post a lot. The Bang to Knuckles guy, I can't remember his name, but he had done all of this research on how to pinpoint how to get the car right and all like it wasn't just some thrown together that looked kind of like a C10 truck. I mean, this thing was like, for people to understand, it was the size of a Hot Wheels and had all of the detail, all
yeah.
of the patina and how everything was doing. So,
Well, I would like the chat to understand that if you have a question for Mike, please start thinking of it and dump it in the chat. But Mike, it kind of leads to the next question, or my next question, kind of to piggyback on that. There's your interview side, your live stream side, but then there's obviously the evergreen content side. So it's the question we ask everybody who comes on the show, but what's a piece of advice you would give, or what are some of the lessons you've learned over your course of time on YouTube, and maybe potential pitfalls to steer some of the people in the chat away from on their journey?
Yep. So when we first started, we were, and I still am, quantity, produce stuff, put stuff out there, get figured out what you want to do, right? Okay. So if you are going to do car stuff, you have to record your stuff doing car stuff, no matter what. Like you got to do that. The one thing I will say is if you are not a Photoshop or the ability to do thumbnails well, just hire somebody. Dude, like you could probably have somebody. You probably have friends that'll do it for $5, right? Just pay that person $5 or $10 a thumbnail, and you don't have to worry about it. That's what I'm finding now with the amount of time that I spend editing a video. Then I spend another 30 minutes, and I suck at thumbnails. Like suck. Sometimes I'm just like, screw it. I'm just going to have YouTube do it. Well, the struggle is if your thumbnail's not good and your stuff doesn't get picked up in the first 24 hours, you might as well write it off. So unless it's going to come back around and you're going to share it. But typically, I mean, now I know this is me, but I have a personal Facebook page and a business Facebook page. Facebook hates YouTube links. Well, if you're monetized, you need your people from Facebook to watch your YouTube channel so you can earn a little bit of money to buy more car parts. And so you got to figure out a better way to get that without spending money to then promote yourself to then get over here, because I won't spend my money on car parts and gasoline, dang it. Tires. Yeah.
It's a big circle, and I was hoping that the conversation would kind of lead back to that. We talked about a little revenue building, on your YouTube channel, and previously you had mentioned about T-shirt sales or merch sales. You had talked about that a little bit in your interview a couple of nights ago, but maybe there's some light you could shed on fellow YouTubers like myself and Grant or whoever might be watching this that might help with maybe that extra revenue from merch sales. You've got a little bit more experience on that maybe, so why don't you talk a little bit about that for us?
I need to do more of it, is what I'll say. Here's the crazy part. It's 2021. You can literally hire anybody on Fiverr to design whatever is in your brain. That makes sense? So if you sell a shirt for $20, you can typically buy that shirt, depending on the color count, for $8 to $12. Okay, it's 25 shipped. I mean, that's $8 to $12 worth of profit. It doesn't take many shirts to do that, but everybody looks at, and we've done it too. I mean, I do it still right now. I'm like, man, I don't want to order 100 shirts and spend $800. I don't have that kind of money laying around. I'd rather spend it on car parts. And so pre-orders, like you guys have great size channels. Like you could come up, we really need to do a high quality Narcs cart shirt that is based on our decal, front, chest, and then back. And I think it would sell really well. And I need to do that on like a pre-order setup and sell them for $20. I know we would probably sell 50 easily, and make that $400 and take that $400 and buy something, buy a car. Damn, you can buy cars, you can buy parts, you can buy a turbo, you can buy a cam, whatever you're into. You can buy wheels. I don't know. We don't buy many wheels. We just tires what we go through. So, but that, and then we're really leaning maybe towards doing a Patreon account, just because I need more. I need to be able to attend the races. I need to be able to buy. I'd like to buy a camera, like a real camera, not just a GoPro. I'd like the GoPro to be action instead of our main camera. For the zoom, just simply for the zoom and the high quality, being able to carry it and look a little more professional when I'm interviewing somebody in the lanes or whatever, or at a car show or something like that.
Well, Mike, if you missed it, Uncle Tony's Garage did kind of reach out. He kind of encouraged you to reach out to him if you get a chance here after the show.
Yeah,
so,
I'm in. I'm in.
Definitely do that. We did have a question from Monster Rust come in earlier, and it was asking you what's basically your best recipe for power out of a 6-liter
turbo all day. So 6-liter LS. It really would depend on what we're going to build the car for, but I would do if it's a race car, big cam, you're going to pick up probably 130 horsepower there, and then throw like 20 pounds at it, and you're going to, that's the recipe for 1,000. Like an 80 millimeter VS Racing, 88 millimeter would be perfect, and a big converter. Everybody skimps on that because they've spent all their money on their engine, but go smaller cam, easier valve train, easier valve springs, and then throw a big converter in there, 3,500, 4,000 converter, and let it eat. Like, spend real money on a converter and less money on a cam.
And guys, we are getting down to the last 13 minutes or so of the show. So if you do have some questions for Mike or for either one of us, just go ahead and throw them in there. I see Darren's Mopar Express has left a question in there as well. So maybe you could talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is a really good question. So here's the deal. Get a friend, book. So we had 4 people that rode this year. So it was me and my brother and Dustin and his brother Ryan. We split $580 worth of hotel rooms across 4 people. Super easy, $120 a piece, whatever, $150 a piece. That was nice. Fuel, if you're driving, you are responsible for fuel. Your co-pilot is not responsible for fuel. If they want to pay fuel, that is fine. We probably spent $300 on fuel total. Now, Dustin did help a bunch with fuel. Food, you can do that both ways. We stopped day one where we were going to be at the track all day, so we thought we'll just run to the gas or to Walmart and grab stuff. We bought ice and a whole, like a loaf of bread, pack of bologna, because you got to eat bologna if you're an adult male. Out in you're going to be outside all day, you might as well do it. Peanut butter and jelly and cheese and pickles, and we spent $150 on food that day and literally ate it before noon the next day. So that was but after that you don't eat much because you're moving. But we literally sat there all day, so we ate like granola bars and snacks and drinks and Gatorades and all that stuff. So I would say probably for yourself $300 on food. After we ran out of that, we ended up not having time because of breakage and things like that. I have to tell the story of the cart before we get off here because it's hilarious. On the last day, but after that, it was gas station food all week, the rest of the week. So that was definitely not recommended, but we definitely did. It was burrito farts for everybody. So it was pretty funny. So I would say $300 on food. So what's that? $800 for hotels and food. Well, $300 was probably my part for food, and then I literally only took shirts to sleep in. with the intention to spend $25 or $30 a day buying a shirt from one of the other YouTubers or like Motion Raceworks, where I got this shirt. Tom and Blaine Stark had shirts. I like literally couldn't buy one from him. I ordered one later, so I probably spent $150 in merch after that. So and that's iffy on your part. So.
Well, so Jason, I'm going to weave one more question there for Mike, but I think after he answers, we'll just go around the horn talking about our upcoming YouTube content.
Yeah, no, I gotta tell the Narxoleptic Day 5 story. You ask your question, and I'll tell the Narxoleptic story, and then we'll go around.
In this one, how about this? This one should be probably pretty quick for you.
Okay.
You can probably roll right into that story after that. Is Will's Wheels had asked if you were feeling better about YouTube as a whole after your break.
Yes. Yeah. Because we came back, and I'm only going to turn out content when I want to. We were beforehand. We were definitely trying to stay on a schedule, trying to provide as much as we could. Taking the break allowed me to get back to where I was having fun with it and doing more stuff with editing and figuring out what I wanted to do. So that, and now the Narxoleptic story, dude.
Go for it.
This is hilarious. So we are in what city were we in? Ponca City, Oklahoma. Okay. It's right down the street from Mid-America Dragway in Kansas. And so driving there the night before, my brother had lost a wheel bearing in the golf cart that he was driving, the Volkswagen golf cart. Lost a wheel bearing there. He literally limped it in. Took him 2 hours to make the trip. That took us 30. So he was we tore it apart at 2:00 in the morning. He was like, I'm going to go get parts in the morning. It'll be fine. So day 5, no parts are available. Had to end up having a race weaker or road weaker drive a part from the hub in Oklahoma City up to us 2 hours to fix it. It's a great, the day 5 video is amazing. I loved it. And that was more fun for me. So at 2:00, we decide if we're only able to drive 55, we might as well, let's go, and we'll maybe be able to make a pass and finish the week. And then I'll creep the cart home Friday. So we're going along, driving along, third gear, 55, and lose third gear. Like literally, it's like it has 4L60'd itself into neutrals, right? So I slow down and we pull over, and I put it in first, and it had been slipping a little bit in first gear, so it accelerates. So I'm like, okay. And so I put it into second, accelerates, third, immediately nothing. So we're 40 miles from my brother, who is about to get parts to fix his cart, and he's just going to go home. So I'm like, man, if we don't figure out what we're going to do here, we're either going to be stuck halfway between Ponca City and Oklahoma City, or we're going to make it all the way and go 28 miles an hour in second gear for 4 hours. Ryan, the younger brother of Dustin, my co-pilot's like, hammer on it in second gear and then shift to drive and see if it'll shift on through. Okay, so Grand Marquis are 1-2 overdrive. Okay, there's no third. You just turn the overdrive button off, right? So I would do that, and it would just immediately go to neutral. So I turned the overdrive back on, and we would get as much of a run as we could in second and try and let it just skip third and go into overdrive. And then we just lug it on, because that way we could at least do 70. Well, it did that 2 or 3 times and was fine. Then it wouldn't do that anymore. Like if you were easy on the throttle, it would not pull itself. So we would get in the second gear, and I would just mat it 80% throttle or more until it was like almost red line in second. I would shift to drive. It would shift to drive, pull through drive into overdrive, and we'd run 85 or 90 until it would slip again. Then I'd put it neutral and we'd coast. We did that for 40 miles. So back to my brother. We turned around and went back to him because I was like, if we're going to go 28 miles an hour, we can just cruise back to him. So we'll make it back in like 30 minutes. And we get there, and he's got the car almost fixed. And then all 4 of us load up in this golf cart and drive all the way back, which was 3 hours back home. We get about 20 minutes into the drive, and the driver front wheel almost comes off of the car because he was so tired. He had had 3 hours of sleep, to get back up and work on the car. So it was pretty wild. The day 5 video, I love it. I left a ton of stuff in. It's like a 30-minute video, so you guys will have to watch it. Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so Mopar Den sending another $5 there.
Yeah.
Says he's sorry he's late, but that's okay. As long as you made the show and gave us your money, that's fine. Thank you very much. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Everybody send money.
So yeah, as we get ready to wrap things up, let's go around the horn and find out what's coming up on everybody's channel. Mike, why don't you go ahead and start and tell us what might be coming up on Narxoleptic Customs in the near future? Yep.
So we have leaned in heavily to the podcast stuff. So I've got, I'm chopping up a lot of that stuff to drop over the next week or so. The old truck, I built a traction bar for it, and we're taking it racing on Saturday. So we'll have that content hopefully. And then we got to put a transmission in the cart. So I can't decide if I want to rebuild it myself and do our first one ever, or we're going to just go to the junkyard and pull one out of another one and throw it in. So that's what's coming.
Grant, how about you? What's going on over on Straight Six Fan?
Well, if you caught Wednesday's upload, you know I did a driveway tune-up of the old 95 F-150. And so the next upload, hopefully it's up by Sunday, will be the 140-mile trek we took in it last Sunday. And
Nice.
You'll have to just figure out what happens from there. But Jason, what's coming up on Olde Carr Guy?
Well, as you guys know, the shop build is coming along. We're hoping to get the roof trusses and roof covering started here on the weekend, and hopefully get that thing closed in before the snow flies. That'll be part 2 of the garage build, the dream shop or dream garage, whatever you want to call it. And also we've got some more 440 action coming at you from the 68 Monaco. So that
Nice
video hopefully be up Monday or Tuesday next week. Not sure how soon I can get that edited, but it's coming.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, hey, I just want to say thanks to everybody that came in and made comments. That was really neat. That thing was popping all night. I was trying to keep up with it, but I didn't have any luck.
Yeah, it's incredibly tough. I know you can probably attest, Mike. I know you do your own show, but even with 2 of us, you're trying to listen to your guest and keep track of the chat. I mean, it's more challenging than one.
Yep.
Than you think. But Jason, you were gonna look like you're gonna add something there.
Well, no, I just see Jason Rock had sent a message there asking me if I saw the email he sent me. And yes, Jason, I did. I did not forget about you. It's just been an extremely busy week. So I've got some time tomorrow. I'll book off. I'll give you a buzz. That is the Car Guy and Six Fan Show for this Thursday. Mike, thanks so much. I'm glad we were able to get you in before your little shootout there this weekend.
So excited.
And hopefully we can keep up with you on Instagram and your YouTube channel to see what took place. And again, we thank you for being a part of the show. It's been great.
Yeah, dude. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Well, as the scroll at the bottom says, reminder, this is a joint operation here, so we bounce back and forth between channels as to who hosts Car Guy and Six Fan Show. So it is on my channel next week, and we are welcoming in Monster Rust as our guest, so look forward to that. Otherwise, that's going to do it for this episode. Just wanted to say to all my Six fans out there, thanks for watching.
All 6 of them.